One of the most common questions we get on social media is, when is Discounty coming out? I feel like I've been waiting forever. And yes, it kind of has felt like we've been waiting forever. Watch the wholesome direct for the answer to that question, by the way. But you know what? It's been even longer for us. Our team started working on a prototype for a shop management game all the way back in 2020. So today I wanted to take you on the long journey from being a dinky little prototype to a fully fledged life sim game. I was going through some of our old files recently and checking out our old builds and was kind of amazed by how far the game has come. So let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. This is Shop Simulator, our very first prototype long before Discounty was Discounty. Now this was made by two of our founders for a class called Programming for Designers. So at this point, we didn't even have a dedicated programmer working on this idea. In Shop Simulator, you go around stocking shelves for all of the customers to buy, and then when the customers are queued, you go back to the cash register and type in the price of the item to ring them up. And even in this prototype, we had one of the core elements of shop gameplay, which is that customers each have their own personality. Now in Shop Simulator, that just meant that they go at different speeds and buy different things, but it went a long way towards making their behavior feel a lot less robotic. So in game dev, prototypes are a way to test an idea for a game to see if it has legs. And as you might imagine, we thought this idea had some promise, and we started to develop it into a final thesis project. But of course, we wanted the game to look cute, or cuter, no offense to Shop Simulator. We started concepting how the game should look, here's a few old sketches, and eventually we landed on this. Although all of the visuals have received a hefty polish since then, at this point we were already pretty close to the game's final style. The thesis build was a huge step forward with more advanced graphics, easier to understand gameplay, and sound. What a concept. Now this build is from 2021, and here the gameplay loop is much better. Customers come in with a shopping list, go through the store looking for the items on their list, and then they bring them for you to check out. And in your spare moments, you go back to the warehouse to replenish the items on the shelves. The customers themselves also had way more personality. We've always wanted our customers to reflect the wonderful range of people that you might meet working retail, so that when you see that one customer come in, you know to be on your best behavior. In this version, we actually displayed their personality traits, which includes how patient they are when forced to wait, how likely they are to make impulse buys, how easy it is for them to get lost and confused, or even just how fast they move around. But eventually, we decided to hide these values because we decided it feels more fun and feels more human. It makes you feel like a real shopkeeper who knows the value of getting to know your customers. But we had a vision, and that vision wasn't a simple shop simulator, it was Storie, spelled I-E. Good one, right? We wanted a full-on life sim game with a full-on story, full of town people to interact with, and a campaign with increasingly complex and interesting shop gameplay. But that's a lot of work, and we need funding to get going, so we applied for funding from the Danish government, and amazingly, we got it. Thank you, Denmark. So we started making what's called a vertical slice, a version of the game that shows a little bit of all the planned features of the game. This is what game developers make in order to present to publishers and other funders, because it helps give people a sense of everything that will be in the final game, even if it's not very deep yet. So for us, that meant building an entire town. This part took a very long time, but we had to start somewhere and just sketch it out bit by bit, which meant that for a while, most of the town looked a little bare. And we stuck some people there. Check out Miss Anderson, now in her final design. The town was also one big continuous map. Check out this long winding road down to the harbor. And in this version, you can see how we were blocking out the game, just placing down assets to determine how the level should be shaped. This led to some funny things like this scaled up version of a building to represent a larger building, but mostly it's pretty empty, and most of the buildings wouldn't even get interiors for another couple of years. This build was from early 2022, and in another build from later in the year, you can really see how much more detail we added to the town. Right from the get-go, you see a ton more detail around Aunt Teller's house, lots of new foliage. You could do the initial tutorial quest to strike a trade deal with Barbara that you'll also experience in the demo. We also had this beach area that got cut from the game, but as you can see, we hadn't put much there anyway. In general, we started making a lot of the areas smaller, making sure that we could ensure a higher level of detail in all of the in-game environments rather than just having a large world for the sake of it. You can also meet more NPCs around town, like Guy, the delivery guy, and in this early build of Discounty, you'll also see— oh my god, what is that? It's a placeholder NPC, and I'm afraid to say this is how a lot of our NPCs looked in-game before we gave them individual designs. And the shop is there, of course. Check out the design before we committed to the Discounty brand. The shop gameplay got a little refinement. You can see a new layout. Fun fact, this one was inspired by a discount supermarket in our artist's hometown, which he thought had the worst layout he'd ever seen, so naturally, we had to put it in. We'd actually end up changing the layout a few times during development, making it smaller overall, and going for a shape that allows for more creativity and unique builds. And replaying this now, I was surprised by how much the game throws at you right away, and I'm definitely glad we have a more gradual tutorial in place now to show you the ropes. And the rest is history, or at least better documented history, because just a few months after this is when we started posting on social media regularly. And not too long after that, we were able to partner with a publisher, P-Cube, which gave us a whole nother year of development time. So if you want to see the gradual improvements that we've made over the years, you can check out our TikTok account. We've been posting on there semi-regularly for the last 2 years. That's it for today. I really enjoyed looking back on these old builds of Discounty. It's really great to see how much the game has developed and makes us feel really good about where we are now. I joined the team in 2023, so it was really interesting for me to see that whole history and play all these old builds and see how much the game has changed. Hope you enjoyed it too. Let me know if there's anything else you want to see from our development history, or if there's anything that surprised you. We'll see you next time, and thank you once again for shopping at Discounty. Bye-bye.